This is Michael again, and today I'm telling you about some advanced Adobe Premiere tricks. Now, these aren't going to be, like crazy impossible things. They're just some effects that you might end up having to use. So, one thing that every person, I swear, has to deal with is green screen. So, in this, I have a green screen dinosaur. This is a pretty interesting effect. There's no real value for it. I doubt I'll ever have a video where I need a T-Rex going across the screen like this. But for this sake, it's really helpful. Now, what I want to do is I want my green screen footage on top of whatever is going to be my background. So in this case, my background will be clouds. I like clouds. They're happy. They're simple. And when I have it layered on top, it's covering the complete video. So I go into my effects bin, go down into video effects, into key, and we're going to hit color key and drag that onto green screen. Now the first thing it does is it comes up with this little menu up here in the effects control. And that effect control says, oh, well, right now my key color is a blue, for like a blue screen. So I click the sample, and I click this green, and at first it only does a little tiny detail around the dinosaur because, it's trying to be safe. If I up the color tolerance to 1, it immediately deletes the majority of the video with leaving this thin green barrier and its shadow. So what I do is I just have to up the color tolerance a little bit more, and so at about, let's say, 50, because this is a really good green screen, you can't really tell there's much of a green screen. I might feather the edges a tiny bit to smooth it out, and unless you look right here, you don't see green, except for under the dinosaur. Because they keyed in a shadow, what I have to do is actually put the effect on the video again, and this time take the selection tool and color it to that green. So, by dealing with that color tolerance, now, starting from the beginning, we have a T-Rex running across the video. Now, if you look closely, you'll see a little bit of green. There's a tiny bit specks there, a few there. Mostly when he's moving, you'll see a tiny bit of green, which happens with a lot of green screening, and it just takes a little more experimenting and playing around and fiddling with the edges, color tolerance, and depending on your quality of green screen. Because this is a digital green screen, I looked out and everything's even. If you have a live green screen, you have to make sure that everything is correctly lit. Otherwise, you can run into a weird problem, and that could pose issues in the future. So, that's just one simple green screening technique you can do. Another technique that's a little bit more fun to play with is a video trick. So, we have some footage I was shooting in a film about Death's ex-girlfriend. And, in this, a guy dies. So, here's the original footage. It's kind of boring. He just kind of slips and falls. But, if we look at it, about here he starts falling. So, why not have him get shot? So here I have this video, it's liquid blood, and I'm going to plop that on top of the video right here. We're going to get a little closer in, and first thing you'll notice is the blood's in the wrong spot. Well, I simply select it, drop down this motion bin, and over here controls the Y-axis, so let's put the shot and... I think it's trying to catch up with me right now. So let's lower it down to about just a little. Okay. So we have the height correct, but we still don't have the area correct. So now we have the X scale, which to the right, and we're gonna move this to the left. Let's put the blood. Let's have it splurt out his back. So when you watch now, oh look, blood just came out of his back. So, obviously, oh, look at that, he got shot. But, if he's being shot, there has to be a gunshot. So I simply have to layer on this 9mm shot, and look at that. He's been shot. Now, the reason when I layered this gunshot on, it automatically was keyed, is because I downloaded a package that I had to pay for, which gave me some alpha channel videos already, where I didn't have to key in any video files at all. Now that makes it a lot easier on my part, but it still gives me a learning opportunity of how to position a piece of video, as well as being able to play with the timing and, you know, how this effect works. See? Simple as that. And now that I've watched it, I might need to move it over a little more to the left. You know, it seems that it's a little too into his body. So now, it's popped out of his shoulder. And that seems a little bit nicer. Now, another thing is this video, right here, it's kind of flat. Now, that's because, you know, it's not color corrected or anything. It's just the raw video. So, I'm going to have to go into the color correcting software. And for that, you know, I'm going to pull up the fast color corrector. You know, it's probably one of my favorites to play with. And, you know, I feel like it should have kind of a red, you know, it's you know, maybe not, you know, that looks too silly if I go to the extreme. So maybe I want a slight blue tone, you know, give it more of that cold, hard feeling of, you know, you're in a dark place. And yeah, it gives it a little flatter, but it's giving it a little bit more of a dynamic feel, because it's no longer just that raw video. See, here's the original, and here's the end. It has this more gruesome feel. So you go through, la la, boom! Oh my god, he got shot. It's a very nice effect, and it's only a slight change in the color, but then that video has totally changed moods. If I was to have it in this green tone, you know, again, zombie apocalypse, it might look like, if I put some makeup on, it might look like he was a zombie who just got shot. The color correction totally changes how your film looks. You know, you can have a warmer film, you can have some sort of strange, weird world, you have cold, cool areas, and sickly, and they all have different effects. So my best suggestion is experiment with video as much as possible. You know, you're never gonna be able to figure out what you want to do with Adobe tools. And so those are just some of the basic effects that you can play with. I mean, I can also do something like, you know, a really fun effect to do is I'm gonna make it look like he flies up the stairs. So we're gonna go, I right-clicked it and go to speed duration and reverse speed. So what it does is it's gonna play the video now in reverse. So it has to render slightly, and so that blood file may glitch out, but we're playing it, and because I have this unrendered, you'll notice that it's very jittery and very confusing. So we're just gonna have to deal with it because I don't render it. Backwards, and the video is slowly backwards, and look at that, he's rolling backwards. So that's just the basic trick. And these are all just really simple, you know, effects. There's also things like Save's audio stuff together. This audio is fairly clean, and so I don't have to do much, but Save was extremely staticky. I could go into audio effects, pull out this denoiser, it's one of my favorites to use, and drag it onto that audio track. And you'll see this little thing come out, and it'll say, denoiser. You have bypass, custom setup, and I like to do custom setup, and go down, and so while it's playing, it'll show me where the noise is. And, you know, I can reduce the noise a little bit. So so it's kind of clean up the audio. But if you go too far on the noise reduction, it might actually hollow out your sound. The cleaner your audio is, though, the better, because then you have less to do with the denoiser, and the less it'll damage your video. If you have an extremely noisy video and you happen to use the denoiser, it'll only work for about 7 decibels.